And of course, it was very emotional just to hear that the school was closing. So I was already boiling when I got there.
So
First thing he came to the school, he said the school was closing. I immediately stood up and just blew my lid and walked out. He didn't hear nothing. He didn't know anything. He just said the school was closing. And yep. He said the school was closing, and he did exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what he did.
Can you ask about the signage right there?
Oh, can you ask them about a sign-in sheet? They need a sign.
It's right here. I heard. I got you. It's here. Well, I have something. Regardless if the school is closed, based on what you're saying, go ahead and show up on September the 4th. And the person who said that DDSD is closed have no authority to actually close DDSD.
Right.
He's just the financial manager. That's it.
Not over academic.
But however, you involved in the academic side, and you have the power to say that we can show up and take over our school.
Telford, there's a question for you.
it's just not showing up. You need to just go on in like every time you go to school. You don't need to stand on the outside. Go inside. Inside the school.
And hold school.
Belongs to you.
So let me reiterate what he said, because the deaf didn't see what he said. Flynn said, so on September the 4th, said, said the person who had the authority to close DDSD. So ignore what he said. Yes.
This is the superintendent's decision.
Why?
Hold on a second. I just want you to affirm what we're saying here first.
Show up September the 4th.
And bring chairs.
Make sure, bring chairs.
We will,
Or sit on the floor.
we will organize, okay, we need to
Okay.
organize people for transportation, chairs, notebooks, the things that you need in school. Okay? Because Peggy was saying they cleared everything out. There's nothing for the kids in the schools.
I don't even think there's tables and
Okay.
chairs.
All right.
I mean, it's empty. And the other
Empty.
early interventions started to move into classrooms that were on the first floor. So the early intervention is sharing the building with us. They have their program, and they've started to take over our classrooms.
Not caring.
And they're moving the teacher consultants and everybody else to the third floor. So the rooms are being utilized.
So we're going to have to take back the rooms.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yes, because the administrator started to.
Do we have time for more testimonies?
Yeah.
Glenn would like to talk.
Okay.
Can I go up there?
Sure. There's the-
Hello all. Most of you already know me, and those who don't know me, I'm Glenn Stewart. I started at DDSD when I was 3 years old. That was back in 1966. I am now 64 years old. And DDSD has really helped me become a successful person. I was offered to go into Cass Technical High School, and I didn't know where else to go. And I went to Chassis for communication, and Chas didn't have communication at that time. And at that time, we didn't have interpreters. I had to sit in front of the teacher and just try to read lips. And I'm like, no, I am not going to Cass for that. So I went into Chassis, and I had a teacher who said, you know, read my lips, and did gesturing with me. And I was able to pick up English and signing. There were no paddling at that time. But when I was 3 growing up into early teens, they had that. After I graduated from Chassis, I went to RIT in New York and I graduated. I got my bachelor's degree in arts and education. Today I'm a teacher at OCC. I teach sign language. I also work at the post office. I present around different workshops. So I want to let our deaf children and our other deaf people know, and everyone else that's listening, that don't allow anyone to tell you that you can't succeed.
Amen.
You can succeed. I'm living proof. I'm just like you, hearing or deaf. And I want you to know that. Just have faith. Have faith that our deaf children.
We have another person.
Another person?
No, it's good. We need to hear these testimonies.
Hey, wait a minute. Hello, everyone. My name is Kenneth Thomas, and I went to DDSD when I was younger. I remember my former teachers. They didn't pick on us. They loved us. They embraced us. I was supposed to be in a mainstream with hearing children in a speech room, and they had hearing rooms. They made me listen or try to listen and be more oral. I'm not trying to ignore oralism, but I prefer to embrace both of it. I want to be able to sign and speak. I support and want to be more involved with our deaf children in our deaf schools. I'm not ignoring our hearing schools. They should not close DDSD. They should continue to have it open. Please do not close DDSD. We need it. Thank you. Hello all. My name is Rhoda Nichols. I've been working at DDSD for 12 years, and I work as a lunch aide. I love it. I love working with our deaf children. It doesn't matter if they're oral, hard of hearing, or deaf, but what I believe and what I support is our deaf culture. And I prefer that the parents be responsible as well and teach their children sign language. What I do notice that our children are slow at learning sign language. Parents must have sign language classes and access to that, so they be able to teach their children as well as the schools. Parents do have a responsibility as well as the teachers to teach their children. You cannot ignore your children. Parents are responsible. You can't just depend on teachers to teach your children sign language and access to language. We want to make sure that our children are successful and educated in both with teachers and with parents. Hello all, my name is Terenza. I was going to damage it. Sorry. Brethren. I'm proud of DDSD. DDSD is like my second home. When my parents, disciplined me, and when they whipped me, I ran to school. I had an outlet. My behavior was much better at school. I love my art teacher, and because my art teacher in DDSD, I was able to transition to take arts in high school. When I would go back to school, I was proud because I was able to get an A in art because of my former teacher. She does, but
And Roberts didn't listen to these parents?
hello. My name is Harold Westbrook. I'm a former DDS graduate of 1994. I started at DDSD when I was a very little kid, and then I moved to the West Coast, and I was mainstream. And mainstream was very different from what I was used to have been in the deaf school. I was in the deaf school for 7 years, and that's what I was used to. It was very challenging being mainstream. There was lack of communication. Communication was such a big barrier. When I moved back to Michigan in 7th grade, I was happy to be back at PDSD around our deaf culture where everyone's signed. You know, it's different. There's a lot of communication barriers when you're in a mainstream school versus in a total deaf school. You know, sometimes our deaf students are a little bit behind because we don't have that full access with both. But after I graduated from 8th grade and went to high school to MSSD, which is a deaf school in Washington, D.C., I have succeeded and graduated and I've done fine. Thank you for listening. Hello all. My name is Patricia Fowler. I'm a former special education ed, and I teach the small little children. I evaluate them and help them appropriately adjust their signing, and so they get better. And they develop. All of my former students come up to me and say, thank you. You know, I love encouraging them, encourage them to go to college. Continue on, do whatever it is you need to do. And thus far, I love helping people. And right now, that's what I'm doing, is helping others. Love you all. You signing?
No, I'm not signing. Hey, everybody. My name is Miss Courtney. I am the parent of 3 deaf young boys, Kenneth Spears, John Spears, who are at day deaf. And I just want to say it's very important that as parents we do stick together, because I can tell you now, it's going to be a long road up ahead of us. And the reason why I say that, because of an incident happened with Kenneth Spears, and DPS, Transportation, took it upon themselves to take them off the bus without informing me, as well as they told the principal not to inform me of any incident that happened. So I go to Transportation, which they end up switching over to someone else, you know. And right now today, I have the report. Right now today, I still don't know what went on, what happened, why they was transported off to the bus service into a cab that they should not have been in a cab because of the severely special needs that they have that goes along with the deaf. And I just want to say that it's really important for us as a staff and parents to stick together, because they all stick together, and if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't put effort into say anything or do anything, they just sweep you right up on the rug.
Hi, my name is Debbie Stovall, and I taught at the day school for 36 years. I just like to say that Detroit Day School for the Deaf is a very important part of this community, for parents, for students, for families, and for staff. One of the dreams that I always envisioned for the day school was that it would be a hub, a center of the education of deaf children and deaf students and hard of hearing students in Detroit, where many things would happen. Example, we would have, of course, elementary, middle school. We would have night school or adult ed school. There are not adult ed school programs that I'm aware of in the Detroit public school system. There were some years ago, but as of now, I don't know if there are any. For deaf. And it should also be a center for job counseling, for parent education, for parents to come together and learn sign language for their children. Right now there's a website. We're getting hits on the website. We want to come to sign language classes. What about the sign language classes? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? And I know it's going to be difficult to set up sign language classes here at this school or there at that school or somewhere else. It's, you know, there's so many things that are not addressed. Voc Tech training for our students. You know, many of the deaf students graduated 18 and they need more time. In the state of Michigan, there's a law that special education children can stay in school and educated until they're 26. I'm not saying day school is the place for that, but we need to look at Voc Tech skills for students so they can get jobs and training beyond graduation and without getting out of the system. When the students get out of the system, it's very difficult to find Voc Tech training or help to get jobs. And, you know, that could be something that could be in the hub. Detroit Day School could be a hub of deaf education in Detroit. And, you know, students may be elsewhere in some of the other schools, but that should be the hub where a lot of the information is disseminated and shared and so on. And that's all I have to say. And I enjoy teaching. Oh, one more thing. We had Jan Goyke was our principal. Before her, Gretchen Coleman. And they opened our building up to the deaf world, deaf community. They brought deaf role models in. We got more deaf staff teaching at our school because of those people. We had deaf camp experience and deaf art experiences where kids got beyond their families, beyond the school, and could see that there was a life. There's a life for you. You know, you don't have to not work. You don't have to worry about what you're going to do when you grow up. There is a life. Deaf children have a life. So that's all I have to say.
Hello, all. My name is Marquise Johnson, and they're my former teachers. Marquise, interpreter. You know, when I heard that they were closing DDSD, I'm like, why? You know, it's not appropriate. Not every deaf child should be in mainstream. They may fail. You know, their grading may be different. You know, we need that. They need that communication for them. You know, do they have interpreters? They have interpreters. Do they have enough interpreters there? They don't even have enough interpreters now for our children. So how are you going to put these extra kids in there to mainstream? Not only that, you know, how can we get our children to utilize them and to focus and use the interpreters? We want to make sure that our kids are able to communicate. They can understand what's going on. We want to teach them to write and read and be able to be successful. And I think that's the place for them is DDSD. So DDSD should be open. It should stay open. It's not good for the administration to say, you know, let's just close DDSD just because, or they want to utilize this for something else. There's a lot of history, rich history in DDSD. You know, the hearing students have their history and their things. What about us? What about our deaf community? What about our history and our support there? You know? We're here now. Are you here now? Are you ready to support DDSD? Hello, all. My name is Dell Moore, and I graduated from DDSD 1980, 30 years ago. Date myself. I was very fortunate to be at school at that time, a student at the time. We had really great teachers there. The teachers believed in us. They believed in education. You know, they encouraged us. A lot of focus on education. I remember at that time I was maybe in the 5th grade. A teacher brought a newspaper into the classroom. I'm like, why are you bringing a newspaper in the classroom passing it out to us? They encouraged us to read the newspaper. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, why are we reading the newspaper? The teacher expected more from us. She wanted us to know what was going on in the world so we can be exposed to it. As deaf, we don't get to overhear a lot of the world things that happen. And so she wanted to bring it into the classroom so we can be aware of it. You know, I'd rather DDSD continue to be open. You know, transferring to kids to hearing, main schools may isolate them. Not have a chance for full communication.
I forgot one thing. Also, when my baby started going to DDSD, there was a program called Shared Reading. And that is how I learned how to read to my daughter in sign language, the Shared Reading program. And it's no longer. No, stop.
Pull the fire alarm.
That was it. It was just a Shared Reading program I was telling y'all about. I'll go get her.
Can you explain what it is?
I'm going to grab the name first. But shared reading, one of the things that is possible at Day School for the Deaf as well when you are at school, we had a team of grant writers, researchers, and grant writers. Actually, teachers and staff at Day School for the Deaf have actually brought more than $4 million into the district for professional development and programming over the last 10 years. And one of the programs under Jan Goyke when she was principal was to bring from Gallaudet the methods that we're supposed to be using peer-reviewed research and best practices and methods that work with deaf children. Not only teachers were going to a lot of trainings by DPS that had nothing to do with how a deaf child learns. And so one of the programs was shared reading, and Jan could address exactly what that is for the board and the community too. Do you want to say something about shared reading?
She introduced us to
I did that for 5 years. Did you do shared reading?
Oh, yes.
When did that? For Bloomfield.
For Bloom over Eastover schools. Yes.
Glenn, you're the perfect person to talk about shared reading.
Mr. Ian?
He was, and I will read what Kadijah said after it. Glenn was, he was one of the teachers. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I used to work for Eastover Elementary School and Bloomfield Hill. I went to go meet the superintendent then. It was the share reading program. And what we did was we would go to their homes of the deaf who had hearing impairments. And we would educate the parents how to sign their books. First, the parents would sit and sign. First, we would sit with the parents and we would sign with the parents to show them how to sign the stories. And at nighttime, before the child goes to bed, the parent would watch me sign to the child the story. And we would sign the tree and the color and show them the pictures and sign it, and they would laugh and understand. Then we would turn it over to the parents to see if the parents would be able to do that. And if the parents would sign the story the appropriate way, we'll give them the go and let them know. This program has been really awesome for them. You know, the children start loving it and wanting to read on their own. Unfortunately, the financial support that we were getting for it went away, and I was unable to go to the different houses and help these children and parents with that. We did it for 5 years at Eastover School. It was wonderful